what exactly we need to accomplish so that we continuously remain in the Atman, or to be in the presence of Bhagavan. First thing is, we need to withdraw our mind from the worldly objects. The objective vision must go away. The second thing is, the constant internal operations of the mind must come to a stop. It is our very nature to have this constant chatter which is always going on in our minds, which are based on our daily worldly experiences. So these two things are easily accomplished in due course of time with the practice of Mahayoga, Atma Vichara. As and when any thoughts or the emotions or the feeling arise, immediately we shift our focus or the attention towards the source of these thoughts. The source of these thoughts are basically our inner awareness. So when the attention is towards the inner awareness, then the rising thoughts or the emotions or the feelings fade away or they subside. So as we keep on going with the practice of Mahayoga, the first and second objectives are accomplished. That way, we constantly remain quiet internally, and as and when any thoughts arise to disturb our peace, we immediately shift our focus towards the inner awareness, which is the source of these thoughts. Thereby, these thoughts go away. And as we keep on doing the practice, our mind gains strength to stay at the source, which is the inner awareness. The mind subsides into the inner awareness as much as we can engage in the practice of Mahayoga. Thereby, we remain without thoughts. So, in due course of time, with the practice of Mahayoga, the first and second objectives are accomplished. Now, the third objective which we need to accomplish is to remain in the state of being formless in our mind. Anything beyond awareness, inner awareness or the consciousness, is defined as a form. So, when we remain without any of the wanderings of the mind, without any rising thoughts, as much possible, then naturally we remain in the state of being formless, without any movement. So, this state naturally comes with the practice of Mahayoga as much possible. So, with the constant practice of Mahayoga, we naturally accomplish these three things. The first thing being withdrawing our mind from the worldly objects. This is not to imply that we don't interact or engage in the activities of the world. We do engage in the activities of the world as any other person might be doing, but the only thing is that we don't get lost in the objective vision of the world, and we remain quiet internally even while engaging in the activities of the world. The second objective is to put an end to the internal operations of the mind, which is basically to avoid the unnecessary constant reflection in the mind about and or based on our daily experiences in the world. So when we remain alert and watchful internally, then naturally what happens is that this internal chatter that is going on in the mind will come to an end. And as we discussed just now, the third objective is to remain without any wandering of the mind as much possible, so that the mind will remain in a state of being formless. Chittam siridasaya samsaram, chittinile nishalamai nirka mukti. When the mind moves a little, it is bondage, samsara. When the mind remains firm without any movement, it is moksha, liberation. So, with the continuous practice of Mahayoga, these three things are accomplished. Being able to withdraw from the worldly objects, to avoid the unwanted internal movements of the mind, and keeping our mind in the state of being formless, being quiet. So only after these three things are accomplished, mostly one will be able to be aware of the inner existence off and on. Now again, with the continuous practice of Mahayoga, we need to accomplish the fourth goal, which is basically to remain unbroken and undeflected attention towards our inner awareness. Even though we may be engaging in worldly activities, the constant undercurrent of this unbroken, undeflected attention on the inner awareness should be there all the time. Again, this thing will naturally come with the practice of Mahayoga. It is the practice of Mahayoga which naturally bestows one with these four accomplishments. So then what happens is that we are able to remain aware of the inner existence as much possible. Awareness of the existence, which is basically consciousness. So when we thus remain conscious of our inner existence as much as possible, then naturally we remain in the Atman, or we remain in the presence of Bhagavan. So this constant, unbroken, undeflected attention focused on the inner awareness or the presence of Bhagavan or the Atman is basically achieved with the intense practice of Mahayoga. And what happens is that thereby we naturally be able to remain in the constant attention on the inner awareness or being in the presence of Bhagavan as much possible all the time. At times when we engage in the activities of the world, we go to some kind of place where there are lots of people, lots of noise, activities going around, then maybe one may not be able to be aware of the inner existence in those situations, but yet one will naturally remain indrawn without any wandering in the mind, and naturally remaining peaceful and quiet within without any mental movement. So this alone will accomplish the natural attention inwardly, which will be on the Atman or the presence of Bhagavan. So once we are able to remain constant focus of the mind on the inner awareness, then naturally we attain the state of Antarmukha, Ahamukam, inward vision, inwardness of the mind. So once we attain these four goals, then naturally one will be able to remain in the Atman or be in the presence of Bhagavan all the time. Arunachala Hrit Spurti Swarupanugrahatmane Namo Bhagavate Drashtre Ramanaya Nirantaram. அருணாச்சலம் வழங்கப் பெறும் இதய பேருடைய தமதியலும் அருளுமானவரும் சர்வசாட்சியமான ஸ்ரீ ரமண பகவானுக்கு உள்ளத்தை இடைவிடா வணக்கம். அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ, அருணாச்சல சிவ.